As we're talking about different distress tolerance skills, within the world of dialectical behavior therapy, one of the most commonly used distress tolerance skill is the skill of radical acceptance. And this is referring to a radical acceptance of reality. Whether this is the reality of my inner landscape or inner world, or the reality of the people that I engage in, or the reality of the world and the situation that I'm in. Can I find a way to accept reality rather than to deny reality? And this is a critical turning point for many people when it comes to emotional coping, because most of us have been trained, or most of us have this intuition or this natural disposition to not want to accept reality. Accepting reality doesn't mean that I approve or that I like what happened, or that I would prefer that this happened in the first place, or that I would want for this to happen again. Acceptance of reality simply requires us to acknowledge that this event happened, and this is what I have to deal with. I really would prefer not to have to deal with this, but I've accepted the reality that this is the situation that I'm in, and I need to find a way forward. When I think of an example of accepting reality, one of the best examples I can think of in Scripture has to do with Jesus and his prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane. And if you recall, as Jesus was approaching his death and crucifixion on the cross, he was struggling with God in prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane. And in his prayer, he prayed, "Lord, if possible, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but your will be done." And in this prayer, we see a beautiful example of what it looks like to accept reality. You notice at the beginning of the prayer, Jesus prays, "If possible, take this cup from me." And here, Jesus is accepting the reality of how he feels about the situation he is in. He's being very honest about the reality of what he feels like, of his feelings and his disposition towards dying on the cross in the near future. And his preference is, if possible, I would prefer to not do this. That is the reality that is in Jesus' heart. And at the same time, the prayer ends with, "Yet not my will, but your will be done." And that's a beautiful example of not only accepting the reality of Jesus' inner world and his emotions and feelings, but also accepting the reality of the situation that he is in that God the Father asking him to die on the cross to redeem humankind. And in this one prayer, we have an example of approaching the reality of oneself and one's inner life, and the reality of one's external situation that we are in.